Welcome, welcome, welcome to World Overcomers Christian Church. On behalf of our senior pastor, Pastor Andy Thompson, we'd like to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Father. He worship you, Lord.
No music with no coaching. Lift up a sound in this room.
One, slow push in. Two, you're live.
Sing it out, sing it out. We're leaving with more joy. We're leaving with more peace. We're leaving with complete and total freedom.
Can you put your hands together one more time if you're excited about the presence of the Lord? The title of my message tonight is New. New. Anybody ready for new? There's another question that I have, and that is, new what?
The theme for 2020 was new. What's new about? New's about not necessarily being so comfortable with where you are right now. Anyone that goes to World Overcomers or has been to World Overcomers or has listened to my ministry, which has been World Overcomers, they have been fed a diet of, and now what?
I'm like, Lord, I know you've got some new stuff coming, and God, there are some things I was believing God for that I didn't see. So sure, am I ready for new? Yeah, especially if we're talking about new stuff and new things. But there's another new that I want us to consider, and that new is a new way.
And what's believe about? What's dominion about? What's life about? Well, if you look at the last 10 to 15 different themes that we've had at World Overcomers, they're all kind of about have faith in God and make you have faith in yourself. And I think it's a challenging word.
Thanks so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. When I come back, I want to know, do I have any believers? And the enemy cannot knock you over. He can't scare you. You are ready for a fight, and you going to believe. In the good times, you going to believe. In the challenging times, you going to believe. When there's grief and you're sad, you still going to believe that nothing shall separate you from the love of God. Verse 4 is the reason why I started this church. This verse says, everyone born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith.
The start of World Overcomers, that probably goes back to when I was a kid. You know, my first interaction with the supernatural was demonic. And so I was just kind of in this place in my early teens where I just was just kind of constantly under torment. And just every night, just voices and just wrestling with this. And it was funny because I would get up and I would go into my father's room and it would stop. And the minute I got next to that anointed dude, it would stop. But I remember one time I went in there and he was just like, why do you keep waking me up? And I'm like, I'm telling you, his voices are telling me they're gonna kill me and that I'm never gonna be what I think I am gonna be, even though I don't wanna be nothing. And he just was like, you know, if you're hearing a voice, say, speak, Lord, for your servant's listening. And I'm like, it's not that kind of voice. It ain't, we're not talking about God. And right around that time, my mother took me to a concert of this guy named Phil Driscoll. He was big at that time, and he was traveling all over the world. And he was saying, when I go into a new place, when I go into a hotel, I don't know what happened in that hotel before I got there. And he's like, I don't know what kind of spirit is in there. I don't know what kind of evil's in there. He said, so he just puts his worship songs on a recording, lets it play in the room, and he goes downstairs and eats something or whatever. And then after 30 minutes, 40 minutes, he comes up and he's like, yep. Because he was saying that the presence of God and anything demonic is just not. And when he said that, I said to my mother, I have to get his tape. And she said, okay. And she got me his tape. The album he had was called Covenant Children, and there was a song on there called World Overcomers. And the verse was, when the storms are raging and the darkness falls and the fire is burning, I will rejoice. I won't be burned. I'm a world overcomer. Just let the mountains fall. Let the storms rage. With him I will conquer. The world is ours. Through Christ Jesus our Lord. Chorus said, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. He put it all together so I can overcome. I think I was 14. So now, 10 years later, I'm 24 years old, and God has given me this vision for this church that's going to be very different than what church normally is. And I was like, I'm going to call it World Overcomers Christian Church.
But for those of us who are world overcomers, you're members, you're visiting members, you're here all the time. And I believe that how we move as a church is also a sign of how we will move individually. I said it once more, y'all don't know world overcomers. Y'all don't know who we are. Y'all don't know. But it's all right, because you're getting ready to find out who World Overcomers is. This is our moment, our time, our day, our season. As you see the day approaching, can I prophesy to you here at the end of this sermon? Your day is coming. Your day is coming. I said your day is coming. 2020, your day is coming. We're about to turn a corner and see some things. But we have to encourage one another, because we need one another to turn the corner.
And I want to know, all right, what's the new thing? And the new thing may be something that makes me uncomfortable. But that's new. There's always going to be something new. And sometimes nothing makes you move like death. The Lord said that to Joshua. He said, Moses is dead. Now, wipe your tears and let's go. It's time to cross over.
We're in the last minute of 2019. We're about to turn the corner. Anybody expecting bigger and greater and new? Anybody want more than just new stuff? Anybody want a new way? Anybody saying, Lord, give me a new light, give me a new revelation. Lord, don't just give me new things, give me a new path. Somebody ought to be able to get ready to praise God. 10, 9. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. When you're there, you have reached a place in which you are standing in belief. It's the kind of Christians the Lord is looking for. He's looking for people who believe him even when nails are being pounded into your flesh. It's a challenging word for us in the new year. Our best is yet to come. The Lord is about to do things that we have yet to even see. Our eyes haven't even seen it. Our ears haven't even heard it. But for us to get there, we got to remove our idols. We got to stop drawing all these lines. We have to trust God.
We will never forget 2020, ever. You told everybody this is gonna be my year.
As we've been reporting all afternoon, the sports world shocked and saddened by the tragic death of basketball superstar Kobe Bryant.
Let's be honest, we will be marked by this.
But I do not exist in fear anymore. I am healed and delivered and set free from all fear.
This is noble work. It really is. And you have to have a calling from God for us to continue to do this work.
Can you say no matter what it looks like, I declare something better is coming.
Since I'm a believer, I have access to incomparably great power. So he said his incomparably great power for those of us who believe. And that's why, beloved, it's so important for us to believe, because belief is very often the difference between life and death. Between blessings and cursings, very often it's simply a matter of what you believe.
You know, it's so funny, you know, when you reference a sermon from 2009. You know, I literally could pull that sermon up right now and literally could preach it, and it absolutely would relate to this moment, which says to me that in 2009, God was speaking to me just like he's speaking to me now.
I had us look at this passage because not only is it relevant to what I'm talking about, but it's relevant to us here at World Overcomers, but also something that's tailor-made to World Overcomers, to where we are right now, because we are very much like these people here in the children of Israel at this particular time in this particular generation. I mean, you got to know the story. Come on, you know that the Lord sent Moses into Egypt to rescue the children out of slavery. They're on the very verge of Canaan. The blessing is awesome, but when we looked in the land, along with the blessing was some challenge, was some difficulty. There's some giants in that land, and they're powerful, and they're strong, and I don't know if we can do this. The challenge and the giant has made them see themselves like grasshoppers. Their perspective is all thrown off by the challenge. What's our giant?
A new infectious disease similar to SARS might be spreading through Asia. A patient in Thailand is hospitalized with the strain of coronavirus originally thought to only be in central China. On Tuesday, the World Health Organization said it is possible there could be a wider outbreak of the virus.
China says the number of people infected by a mysterious respiratory virus has more than tripled over the weekend. There are now 218 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus.
My first reactions when I heard of COVID-19, honestly, I just thought SARS, they got it under control, and I moved on with the day until I found out it was spreading really, really quickly throughout the whole country.
In their most clear warning yet, the CDC all but promises that the coronavirus will spread here.
like started praying a lot. Like, God, whatever this is, please shield my family, please protect my loved ones, please protect me.
In Health Watch, the first case of China's new and deadly coronavirus has been reported here in the U.S.
I think everybody was afraid at first. I think, it was the unknown. Just the fear of the unknown. The fear of, I felt like us world overcomers, I felt like we were probably going to be better prepared than the average church, but you never know. It was a fearful moment.
I thought it was just another one of them things where it's like Ebola, swine flu. It's just gonna be another one of them things. You see some going in different countries, but you like, that don't got nothing to do with us over here. Cause we always been protected from any of that stuff. So I'm like, even if it was real, it's not gonna come over here. So I wasn't really tripping on it like that.
I thought of it like when they had the smallpox, and it was scary at first, but I realized America's been through this before, and we overcome.
I do not remember the last sermon I preached in front of the full congregation. I do not.
I don't remember the last service. I mean, all of our services are so good. It seems like 10 years ago right now.
Do I remember? My memory's not that good right now.
The last time we had services, I mean, wow. I pray it was good. I'm gonna have to watch it, because that was a long time ago and I don't remember. That's terrible. I don't remember.
We all said together, amen. You may be seated in the name of the Lord. Turn on your radio. Let me just say a little bit of something about the virus, about the whole coronavirus thing. Isn't it extremely interesting how much people's opinion and perspective about stuff can affect the way that everyone sees the world? It felt like, yeah, okay. And I remember even in myself thinking God's my co-pilot. Then I moved over saying, yeah, God, you're the pilot. But I think where I really am today is that, and I'll throw it on the screens, is that actually God is not in the cockpit. God is air traffic control. God is in the tower. God is talking to all of us and giving us guidance and direction as we steer through this thing called life.
I think that at the end of the day, what God ultimately is a GPS system. I think our job is to be alert.
Automatic pilot is basically where you drive a route so much that when you get home, you don't remember details from the trip. You are entrenched in your path. New paths challenges your mind and gives you a refresher mentally. You have to be careful not being stuck in your route. If I at least have my radio on, if I at least am able to connect with the King who sees it all, then I can get guidance from the tower that will help me get to where I'm supposed to go.
But that happens sometimes where I think people use God like that. They only want to use him when they're lost. It would have been great to just turn him on when you first got in the car. And just because you're familiar doesn't mean there isn't a new way to go. And it doesn't mean there's not a new highway. And it doesn't mean there isn't a new route. It doesn't mean that there isn't a way that you haven't gone before.
I can't tell you what's going to happen next. I wish I could, but I can't tell you. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. And I know he holds my hand.
And I'm like, okay, what did I say? Jeez, my brain. What did I say tonight? I talked about just what did I say tonight? When I talked about it, I talked about how fear and faith are the flip side of the same coin. How they, in a way, they're the same power. They're both connected to the invisible. But it just depends on which way you're going to take it. For people to say, okay, I'm not going to church over this, that can be very impactful. Jeez, God. Brain is just tired. Even if folks are afraid to come together, and tonight we had our service and it was pretty much close to what we normally have. I think that we have a tendency at times to be driven a little bit more.
I'm going to tell you the moment that COVID-19 hit me in the face. It was when I was watching the NBA basketball game and they literally walked out on the court and canceled the game.
Huh? They canceled the rest of the season? Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe.
And the NBA has made the decision, they have just announced that they are suspending play, but starting tomorrow, NBA play is suspended, and then the league is going to use that hiatus to decide their next steps, how they'll go forward. But this is the last night of NBA games for the foreseeable future.
I think I'm not as worried because our church has technology. When you're hearing talking about suspending the NBA season or them kind of stopping for a period of time because they're afraid of people gathering together. For someone like me, thank God, I think maybe I'm a little bit better built. If there's ever a time for faith, it's now. And if there was ever a time to believe, it's now. When the NBA did it, that to me was like, whoa, like that was for real. That meant business.
Thank you all for being here today. We'd like to provide an update on the new coronavirus, COVID-19, here in North Carolina. North Carolina has new coronavirus cases in multiple counties and regions. I want to provide stronger statewide guidance now. We advise postponing or canceling any gatherings over 100 people. That includes conferences, assemblies, sporting events, concerts, worship services, and other gatherings. This guidance is in effect for the entire state.
I mean, I definitely think at the time, looking back on it, that I didn't think that we were going to have to shut everything down. I think that there was hints of it. There was, there were, people that suggested that it might happen. I think when the NBA did it, that to me was like, whoa, like that was for real. That meant business. I also think that, the NBA and the NFL and baseball and all of it, they're teaching us something. It's something important for the church to learn. And that is that there's just way more people that are watching through technology than are in the room. And so it has to go on. Whenever I was walking through the mall the other day and I bumped into some dude and he's just like, you back having services yet, Doc? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because I don't want people to die. That we have to be able to make this transition. The real audience is the world. And that's what we're trying to reach. So, the NBA made it clear that this pandemic is not a game. And they're the reason why I stopped having service. And quite honestly, I probably won't let people in my building again until the NBA lets people into theirs. World Overcomers all around the Triangle area just finished watching the press conference. Governor Cooper has asked everyone, if you have a gathering of more than 100 people, don't have it right now. But here come Corona, the devil is a liar.
It was like depressed. I was like, oh my God. Depressed. But then I was so glad to see that we went online. That was a biggie. Again, technology allowed us to do that. If it weren't for technology, people just wouldn't be seeing service. They'd just be, I don't know what they'd be doing. I guess radio, be listening on radio. But new technology allowed us to, I mean, you guys set up all that. That's wonderful.
I have confidence in our ability to walk by faith in the dark place. As a matter of fact, I believe that we're going to rise up together even more than ever and show how much God matters to us. There's ever a moment for us to come together. It's now, and I have confidence in that. Confident that you're watching this, confident that you're sharing it. Look, I'm standing here speaking a sermon, the room's empty, but I'm confident that we're going to watch it on technology. I'm confident that you're going to share this with somebody. I'm confident in us that we need one another. Our community is important. Our love for one another is important. I have confidence. I'm not worried about it. Even though there may be an attack on the inside, I'm not worried about it because I'm confident in Christ.
The governor prohibiting all large gatherings. Many weekly events are now off. CBS 17's Bridget Chapman found out how one Durham church is helping members worship safely.
Services are underway at World Overcomers Christian Church in Durham.
We stand on your promise.
Typically held on Sunday, Pastor Andy Thompson is giving his sermon Saturday.
As we give you praise, God, we pray.
To a room without any people.
This is an opportunity to act out of our faith.
World Overcomers is putting services online this week due to the coronavirus outbreak.
When the governor in his press conference said, listen, more than 100 people, try not to meet, that just kind of sealed it for me.
Governor Roy Cooper made that recommendation to cancel events on Thursday.
That includes conferences, assemblies, sporting events, concerts, worship services, and other gatherings.
Pastor Andy Thompson says their services will be available online this week on Sunday and Wednesday. They'll reassess the situation after that.
We want people to be safe as well as have faith. We're tough, and we will get through it, and we will make it. And there's no better time to learn that than in a time of crisis.
Saying this can be both a powerful and testing time.
It's been a different kind of a week, 2 weeks really. But I believe the Lord has been with us here at World Overcomers. I love how we have come together as a team. Our people just flow together in unity, but playing their different parts. And I know it's been tiring, especially for all of our media and marketing, even those of you that aren't a part of the media and marketing or the creative team. For those of us that are not a part of either one of those teams that weren't in all the meetings that they've been having, can we just give them a round of applause and just say thank you?
One of the byproducts of this particular moment is I think that ministry will have to be done differently in the future. I think this is going to show us, even I think as much great response I'm getting from people about what we're doing online, I also think that people are like, wow, it's amazing that you guys are doing it with the room empty. So I think it's going to remind people their part. And I've been saying that. Like, yeah, we're doing it, but we miss you. You know, we miss your energy. And so I think if people ever thought, oh yeah, we'll get to a point where church will just be online, by watching the service, as great as we're doing it, there's something missing. Mm-hmm. The ability to talk to the camera, the ability to communicate without the congregation there is hard to do. I think it has affected my sermons, especially when it comes to like humor. Because it's harder to be funny when there isn't anyone there.
We want you to have a prayer life. Prayer will mellow you out. You be ready to snap on somebody. You need to slip into your car real quick and just say, Lord, help me, help me, help me, Jesus. Before I snatch this woman's weave right off her, Lord, help me, help me, help me, Lord. Before I grab that natural, she's so proud of her natural. It's going to be naturally on the floor if she don't back up from me. My mom told her, Andy got to get up, go to church in the morning. And she laughed, ha, 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 hung up, never called me again, heathen.
Like, part of preaching is feeding off the energy in the room. PA is honestly incredible for being able to do this, like back to back to back to back to back. But it is difficult. You know, it's like, you're just like hoping it's good. Right? You're just hoping what you're saying is good. Whereas when you're in a live audience, you know whether or not it's good because people are either not responding or responding.
I see looking at the empty room as, I don't want to say a punishment from God, but definitely an admonishment from the Lord about being ready to do ministry in a new way. And whenever anyone says, Pastor Andy, when you think we're gonna be able to go back? I'm always like, please don't say back. Because there is no going back to me, there's only going forward. But I know that every time I'm in that room and I'm preaching to nobody, I say to the Lord, Lord, I promise you, if you ever let me preach to people again, I will never forget that there's 100 times, 500 times more people that could be watching. You know, if I ever am allowed to have 3,000 people in this room ever again, I'm still going to be pushing to get 3 million people to watch me. Because at this point now, it's too important. And nothing has made that happen like COVID-19. As horrible and as terrible as it is, I think that anyone who is not taking it as an opportunity to spring forward or to go on is missing the real lesson of it.
I'm just relaxing, I'm just chilling. And finally they said, now Pastor Andy, seriously, can you do this? And I said, I said to them, do I look scared to y'all? Do I look afraid? Do I look nervous? The God I serve, the God I serve is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above anything y'all can even ask or think. Y'all don't know what God we're serving up in this place. I've been talking about us being strong mentally, but why we have to realize that you get to a place where you either get busy living or you get busy dying. You're either moving forward or you're in trouble because doubt just doesn't even make sense mentally. As a matter of fact, doubt will make you draw conclusions that don't make any sense. Because they're actually saying something. It's funny, if you read their own words, they're saying, why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Exactly. Why would the Lord bring you out this far? Why would the Lord exert all this energy and do all these miracles to bring you here just for you to get killed?
We also know the virus affects people differently. People with pre-existing conditions are at greater risk. Someone with cardiovascular disease, for example, has a risk of more than 10% of dying, whereas for someone with no pre-existing condition, the risk is just 0.9%.
So when you have a pre-existing condition, you know, COVID or the coronavirus is not a good idea. So of course, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2017. The Lord blessed me, had my surgery, margins are cleared. I've been in remission for the last 3 years. Again, I have what's called a compromised immune system. So coronavirus kind of poses a threat to a person like me.
I didn't really take it serious until I seen this report. And it said, the question isn't whether this is coming or not, but when. And when I read that, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of knew is about to get real.
The CDC is predicting more than 180,000 deaths in the U.S. by August 22nd. It comes amid growing concern about schools reopening.
I didn't know what it was. I knew it was killing thousands of people. I didn't know if it was a virus that attacked a certain type of person. Like I didn't know.
Where are we going over the next 3 months? Are we going to the point, there's been different ways, do we need to prepare for a spike? What is success going to look like here?
It's going to be two things. It's going to be try and prevent the actual spread. And this kind of mitigation, they call it social distancing, but it's common sense stuff. You don't want to go to a massive gathering. The question is, if you're a vulnerable person, take it seriously, because particularly when you have community spread, you may not know at any given time that there are people who are infected.
I have preached more funerals since March 2020 than I have the entire time that I've been pastoring. And I've been pastoring for the last 16, 17 years. I've been pastoring, and I've done more funerals since March. That has had an effect on me, for sure.
I never experienced nothing like this before. Like, we had all these scares before, but this actually is active and alive, and it's like right in front of us. Grocery stores, bro, don't even get me started on the grocery stores, but it was just.
You really realize that this is a real thing that's going on. You know, we see the numbers of people dying, and we're like, oh man, it sucks, it's crazy, but until it actually hits you, that's when the reality of it actually sets in. I remember when the shutdown first happened, I was walking outside my apartment. It had to be maybe like 1 p.m. or sometime in the afternoon. I remember it was a sunny day, but it was quiet. It was so quiet outside that it was kind of eerie. I remember thinking, like, what if this is the end of all of us? What if this is the end of the world? I really remember having that thought. It was just so quiet. It was just like, it was quiet as if everybody has died off. I remember this day and I can't forget it.
No more church or public gatherings or whatnot. I'm like, that's when the media team really had to step up. Because now, since we transitioning from no longer in person, but all through technology and digital and streaming, we knew we was gonna have our hands full this year, for sure. We knew that from the gate, that we would definitely have to pick up the church.
You know, it was hard to get used to it. Like, this is like the new normal, and you know that kind of, it takes a toll on you, especially if you're a people person where you're used to seeing people and faces every day. You kind of start to feel lonely.
One time, me and Jarrell was like, we were walking out of a meeting, and I told Jarrell, I was like, we won't take a break, and because I knew, like, we couldn't afford to take a break. We couldn't afford to take a vacation, even though we was working like crazy, even though we was doing all this other stuff. I was like, the only way for us to take a break, one of us, or either both of us, one of us got to get COVID. I told him that. I told you, I said, the only way we will stop working is if we end up getting COVID. That's what it would take for us to slow down. And then not too long after that, I started to show symptoms.
Coronavirus causes the common cold, COVID-19 obviously, and then
influenza A and B cause the flu. And the body's immune response to viruses causes you to have fever, chills, causes you to potentially have diarrhea, headache. And so they're the immune response to the virus. What's unique to COVID is the change in taste and smell.
So there was a day where I kind of felt, my throat was kind of feeling funny. And I know that we were doing this week-long shoot at a studio. And I was working in a room filled with haze for the past 3 days. So my throat was feeling funny, and I called around asking a few guys, like, hey, does your throat feel funny? And a couple of the guys said, yeah. So, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, all right, this is just the haze. I know this type of thing happened before where I inhaled too much haze and I have a headache and my throat felt funny. But, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, like, what if this isn't the haze?
Start off with a headache. Then I had a cough. I wasn't thinking too much. I was like, because I feel like since COVID going on, we can't get sick from nothing else. I can't get the flu. I can't get a cold fever anymore. I went to work on a Saturday. Morgan seen me. Terrell seen me. Jay seen me. Morgan's like, yeah, whatever you came here to do, handle that and then go home. No, you have to get tested before you try to come back. And I was just like, bro, I'm good. Like, yeah. Even being sick don't stop me from working. I downplayed it. But until I lost my sense of taste and smell, I knew I probably do have COVID-19.
I remember the drive, going to get tested for the first time for COVID-19. Honestly, you are kind of nervous. At that point in time, you are kind of scared, especially if you have some of these symptoms, And I was always the type of person, if I were to get sick, I'm always looking at my symptoms, like what could it be? Because it's just the type of person I am.
I'm getting swabbed up for my COVID test, so start feeling ill a little bit last few days. So I'm just trying to be cautious and just do the responsible thing and get tested. So hopefully in a few days my results can come back negative. But first step is get tested, and then we'll see how it comes out.
Like forever until they came out, but I think it's just because my mind was going. When they came out, signed some documents, gave them my information. There was, at this point in time, there were videos of people getting tested, of people sticking that stick up their nose, and what seems to be going up to their brain. So I think I was more so nervous about that more than anything going to get tested. Like, I didn't want this stick touching my brain.
Nervous because you already hear about how they got to stick the whole, they got to stick the whole Q-tip up your nose and all that.
But when I got there, the nurse showed me the stick and she told me I had to actually put it in my nose myself. So at that point in time, I was kind of relieved because I knew I wasn't going to stick that thing all the way into my brain.
There you go. One more time. Okay, same thing on the other side.
Ooh, my eye water.
Make sure
I ain't crying, y'all. It just triggers you. You know what I'm saying? No, I ain't
crying.
I'm just triggered. I'm a thug. I'm a gangster. No, I was playing.
I did the test. I had to do it twice because she dropped the first tube. Like, she dropped the first Q-tip. And I had to do it again. And then your eyes get real watery and stuff. And it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
It helps if you kind of roll it between your pointer finger and your thumb.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, just like that. Dunzo, I'll take it from you. You did it, y'all.
I am not crying. That didn't hurt. It
feels funny. It feels funny.
It just tickles.
Yeah.
So, at that point in time, the testing was over. My nerves kind of went away for a little bit. But the next day, they came back. Because I was kind of anxious to get my results. I still wasn't feeling all too great.
And then, you know, just waiting for them results to come in. It's like you feel like those the longest days of your life, man. It's just.
Yes, my name is Dimitri Hale, and I was just wondering, what exactly was the turnaround time for my test results? I took a COVID test Tuesday. I was just trying to see, you know, how close. Sunday? Okay.
So at that point in time, I was nervous. I remember the phone call. I believe it was about 3 days after I did my test. Seen a phone number I didn't know. Automatically knew, like I don't know how I knew that I was the doctor calling to give me. Answered the phone. You know, they have to verify who you are before they give you any type of information. So did the verification. Like, and I feel like I was kind of on a fence here, but like part of me was thinking, oh, she's just gonna say I'm fine. Part of me was like, I don't know what she's gonna say.
So I picked up the phone, and you know, she's like, hey, Demetri, how you doing? Hey, make sure you're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, we got your results back. And I said, okay. And I'm just bracing myself for whatever I hear.
Okay. I think you were here early this week for the COVID-19 testing, right?
Right, Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday. Okay. And I got a result back, and it showed it's positive.
Because it's just in that moment, reality hit me with those few words.
So as I'm talking to her, she tells me that I tested positive for COVID-19. And my heart kind of sinks. Not because I'm scared, I'm just kind of shocked.
CBS 17 is tracking the coronavirus. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is reporting 271 new cases since yesterday. That brings our total across the state to 6,764. We know 179 people have died so far, including 7 in the past 24 hours.
And I was in my head just thinking, like, what if one of these days I go to sleep and I don't wake up? I've never had to think like that ever in my life.
How this virus has devastated the world, and you have this virus, you don't know what to expect going forward the next few days. You don't know. You have no idea what to expect.
I think that when one of my uncles died, that had an effect on me, because not only did my uncle die, but both of my aunts were helping my grandfather as well. So they all had the coronavirus in that house. And that was tough. And then to add to this stress or weight, they couldn't find the body of my grandfather because he was in one of the storage containers, the 18-wheeler refrigerated trucks that they had, and they didn't know which one he was in.
Dozens of bodies stored in U-Haul trucks outside of a funeral home because they're just so overwhelmed during the pandemic. And this could be a sign of the trouble that other funeral homes in the tri-state are facing right now.
And that was probably the hardest part of this coronavirus experience.
And that's why we talk here about getting our minds together and death and life being the power of your tongue, because what they say is what they get. The Lord ends up saying, all right, fine. Y'all said you want to die in this desert. That's exactly what y'all are going to do. Anybody hearing what I'm saying today? That's why, beloved, we have to be so careful with what we say, because if we're not careful, we'll have what we say. The Lord's patience and mercy will not last forever. There will come a time where the Lord will say, all right, fine. That's what you say. That's what you're going to get. You can't never find a new job. Keep saying that, and that's exactly what you're going to get. You can't never make it. Keep on saying that. That's exactly what you're going to get. You have no hope. Keep on saying that. That's exactly what you're going to get. You have to be careful with what your mouth speaks.
Just hearing case after case, and even going through it, and you hearing this person died, this amount of deaths, this death toll going up, and it's hard to, you know, not be affected by that while you're going through it, because now it's like I'm one of those statistics now. I'm a case now.
Yeah, today was a really rough day. It was a really rough day. It's a really rough shift. I'm tired of walking into rooms and your patient's dead. You just walk into a room and there's a dead body there. They're calling families and telling them that news. We would all have more compassion for each other. Everybody.
It is irritating that in my whole life I ain't never had to worry about nothing like this, but now all of a sudden I gotta focus on my breathing every second.
You don't have to focus on it. You're gonna be fine, period. Period.
Because I remember watching YouTube videos, hearing doctors talk, and you know, this thing really affects your lungs. So my number one goal at that point was to keep my lungs healthy, keep my lungs going. So I ran miles. I was determined to fight this thing. I didn't want it to get worse. I was determined. So that's how I fought it. I ran. I exhausted my lungs as much as I could every single day. That was my fighting response. That's what I was gonna do. Keep this thing off of me.
You know, even me going through COVID, even going through that, I was always something on the other side that I allowed myself to accept. And once I accepted it for what it was, I was able to make it to the other side. So once I got COVID, I was like, cool, you know what? I'm gonna make it out of this. And I remember I was on the phone with my friend, and I couldn't taste anything prior. Going through times with days, it's like, why am I eating this? I can't even taste nothing. And then I was just eating a snack, just some cereal. And I could taste the cereal slightly. I got so excited, I said, all right, I gotta call my mama real quick. I video chatted my mama. So I closed my eyes. I went and picked the seasoning up. I let her read it so she could see. So I was kind of blind to it. And I was like, you can read it? She's like, yes. Okay, cool. So I sniffed it, and I was like, is it this? And I'm like, she's like, yeah. I'm like, so I moved that over. All right, I'm gonna do the taste test. So I went and got my cereal boxes, and I started eating the different brands. And I said, is this? She's like, yes. I'm like, is this? And I was like, yes. And I was like, I said, the fact that I'm celebrating that I can smell and taste again was funny, because when do you ever see anybody celebrating a sense that they've been born with? And that was the most important thing to me that day. That really made my day, the fact that I can taste and smell again, because I felt like I was recovering.
The last few days of quarantine, it's like you get excited about it. It's like a kid waiting for Christmas Day. You can't wait to go outside. You can't wait to go to the store. You can't wait to interact with people again. I remember being excited. I remember that before you can go anywhere, you have to get tested again. I got my results back sooner. It was like a day sooner, and the nurse said I was negative. At this point in time, I was very happy. I was actually excited to go back to work again. But it was a relief when I found out that I was then negative for coronavirus after being positive and having to quarantine. It was a big relief.
Or go to the nearest emergency medical center for our front desk. Press 1 for our fax number.
My name is Dimitri Hale. I'm sure they probably calling about my test results.
They told you your last COVID test came back negative. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good now that I know I'm negative.
And I just believe, even though it's gotten hard, it's gotten very difficult, it's been very challenging, my faith has stood up every time that I started getting low to let me know, hey, greater is he that is in you. You've got this, Tyrus. Push through it. You can make it. You can do this. Let me share with you, it hasn't been easy, but it's been definitely a great journey. Definitely.
After all I went through this year, I have accepted any hurdle and obstacle that comes my way from this point on. One hurdle after another, after another, after another. It's just, but I thought to myself, you can only try to stop the things that are moving. I must be moving in a direction that the enemy doesn't want me to go. And the fact that I must be making the right strides. Something that's trying to knock me off my square. Something that's trying to veer me off the road. I am indeed moving in the right direction. That I'm actually going somewhere. I'm actually fulfilling my purpose. I'm actually going in the lane of God that's made a path for me to go. And I am following him as I go. I've gotten this far. Why would I go the wrong direction now?
The risk is worth it if the blessing is great. The blessing and the promise is supposed to be so huge that you're almost really not that you don't see the giants, but they don't even really matter to you. You gotta be at a place where you're on the verge of your blessing, and you gotta look in there and see that blessing, and you gotta say, ooh, that blessing is so good, that stuff looks so great. I'm not even worried about what I gotta do to get there. Though there may be giants in the land, I'm not gonna let that giant stop me from getting my blessing. Yeah, this is a valley of the shadow of death. If you're a black American, for all us, the black Christians, this looks like a death moment. This looks like the valley of the shadow of death. This looks like a spot in which we are getting killed in the streets, and our women are being doors kicked in, and still looks like I may not make it. This thing looks like it's over. Can I speak to you? Can I prophesy to you? Can God turn your situation around? Can the thing that looks like it's dead live?
Please don't shoot me, man. I'm not shooting you, man. Please, man. I just lost my mom, man. I can't breathe. I'm through. They gonna kill me. They gonna kill me, man. Mama!
Get off of his neck! You just really killed that man, bro.
I think my reactions at this point, as an African American man, as a man that's I don't want to say I'm old, but I'm older than I once was. I mean, I think it's just a tragic moment. I never watched the Floyd video all the way through ever. I've seen maybe all of 30 seconds of it, a minute of it at the most.
Okay, now you're gonna get me. When I saw the picture of George Floyd on his stomach with a knee on his neck and just sitting there powerless, I said to myself, there's nothing anyone could have done to deserve that. And then when I read that I think it was a forgery, a check forgery or something like that. I just, I'm 53 years old. I've lived through racism, and it's like, okay, God, it's back. It's back.
The violence fueled by anger over the death of 46-year-old George Floyd.
You ain't never breaking us. Get me off my name. You understand?
He says he understands the rage people are feeling and added he underestimated how large the group of protesters and others would be.
I don't know if there'll ever be a fair fight. I don't know if there'll ever be a fair fight. And seeing this man in the street with this dude, oof. This cop with his knee in his neck, like, and just really proud about it. It just lets me know it's not a fair fight.
Everything that happens in life, period, my children pop in my mind. And so Mama comes out. Mama Bear comes to protect her cubs. And so when I heard George Floyd scream out and cry for Mama, the mama in me wished the mama that was standing on the street, or the mama that was recording, or whoever, that somebody could have intervened, just like my husband said. Because had that been my son, I would want someone to intervene and stop it.
It's always happened. It's just that now people see it on camera. It's been going on. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, cops they wouldn't necessarily kill you, but they beat you so bad you wish you was dead.
What time are we living in right now? Like, for real, I'm like, are we in the 60s again? Are we in the 70s, the 50s? Even go further on, like.
The rules used to be, hey, just don't wear a hoodie. The rules used to be put on a tie. That used to be the rule. And those are not the rules anymore. You can be wearing a tie, you can be jogging, you can be looking at a property. You could be drinking coffee, you could be laying in your bed. You can get shot, and it's not that we're getting shot, right? That's one piece of it. The other piece is that we're getting shot, and it's looked at as normal, that it's no big deal. Nobody really cares. And I think that's crazy.
And it brings me back because I have a relative who died in a similar fashion as George Floyd. My mom's first cousin, Ernest Lacey, he was murdered by Milwaukee Police Department in 1981. But he died by suffocation. And they was bringing a lot of those reports back, comparing that time to George Floyd. That's a personal thing to me.
The Breonna Taylor incident is just so absolutely ridiculous that it lends itself to a belief that there is something else with her case. There's some conspiracy against her. There was something she saw or knew. There are people who have that as a suspicion, and I feel like the absolute lack of justice in her case points towards that. My job is to say, okay, now where do we go from here? And what does this spur us on towards? Can we be spurred on to good deeds? Can we be spurred on to good works? In our anger, can we not sin? And when I say not sin, I don't just mean not burn stuff down, because I don't know how much I'm thinking of that as sin. I think the ultimate sin is self-deception. And I think to not make progress is the real sin. To be angry and stay there, to be angry and not vote, to be angry and not read, to be angry and not make yourself a personal project of progress, to me is the real sin.
Black objective, my collective, be selective, what you say and what you do. Dissertation, reparation, generation, we be facing boys in blue. See, it's my life, trying to live, but they won't let us live, cause black lives don't mean much to them, but still we all black kings, we all black queens, we all black princesses.
All right, what's going on, everybody? In a few minutes, we get to go to downtown Durham and stand for justice. We want to see justice served, and so that's what we're gonna do. We're representing George Floyd, Breonna Taylor.
Put this mask on right now. First will lose her mind. Barely lit me out the house. That's the truth. That is the truth. Make everybody clap your hands just for a second. Just clap. You can do better than that. You can clap your hands. Come on, make them clap to this. Come on, clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands. I appreciate the fact that we're all going down there together. And as Pastor Brian said, this is not our protest. We're just going there to be a part of it, just to stand in solidarity for what we believe America should be. Paul said, and now abides these three, faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. But I do want to say that I am encouraged by how many of us are here today. I didn't expect this many people to come, and I appreciate you being here. And I think that it's going to take the wisdom of multiple generations for us to be what we're supposed to be.
Put it in here.
Hey, y'all.
That the charges for the cop that killed George Floyd has been up to second-degree murder.
We don't just want them just charged. We need conviction. There's a difference.
So I'm not here to call for a kumbaya moment. I'm here for us to understand what the protesters are and what the issues are. Because until we understand the issues and keep casting votes for the ignorance issues, then we're going to still a white, brown, black, or blue person wearing a blue uniform. As long as you police the way that you have policed our communities, there will always be a problem.
And for our closing, this is Pastor Andy from World Overcomers.
I'm so encouraged not just by the fact that black people are marching together, but the unity amongst all races, so many white people marching and protesting. I want you all to know, for an African-American man who's in his 50s, it is amazingly encouraging to know that you are tired of this country being the way it is right now.
Y'all, we have Pastor Brian here from World Overcomers Church in Durham. You got a few words for us.
I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, and I was born in the inner city of Boston. My father was a drug addict in and out of the home. My mom was on welfare, raised 3 boys on her own. I know what it's like to be in a community full of drugs and violence. I know what it feels like to not have the same opportunities as everybody else.
An America where we are free and equal under the law, that America has only existed in my lifetime. It's relatively new, because freedom in America for people of all color and all gender and all sex is a relatively new thing.
But I'm here as a witness and as a testimony that we can survive anything and that we can make it out of any circumstance and out of any dark situation. And if you think about your own story, you know that you're going through some similar tough things. And the fact that we're all out here together, it means everything. We are going to stand for the family of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and all those who have been victims of meaningless violence. Your life matters, their life matters, and this movement and this moment matters.
For 400 years, black people were treated as property. If you dig a hole 400 feet deep, it's going to take more than a 50-foot ladder to get out of it.
I read in the scripture where the Bible says that God is like a shepherd. And the Bible says that this shepherd, if he had 100 sheep and one was lost, the Bible says that the shepherd would leave the 99 sheep that was doing well and go after the one that was lost. And I believe that if Jesus was on the earth today and all of us was doing well, he'd go after the one that was lost. He'd go after the one that was hurting. He'd go after the one that was oppressed. Right now, we all have situations that we're going through, but right now, Black Lives Matter because we're going after the one right now.
I'm so excited that we gathered together. We have to understand that when we're gathering together for George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery, and we've come together today as Americans to say that we want an America that is fair for everybody. And that if any person is dehumanized, then all of us can be. So it was an interesting moment. I think the thing that was surprising and encouraging was that there were more white people at the protest than black people. So
I feel like those protests that we went on, that was powerful. It's like when they see a large movement of black people, the automatic expectation is that we're angry and that we're getting ready to just roll up in here and just cause a whole thing. Little did they know that we were a group of black people and we were coming to bring peace and that we were coming to calm things down. And there was a white lady who came up to me afterwards, and she pretty much was telling me how she gave up on God and gave up on the church, and how she was really struggling with her faith, and that she felt God calling her to that particular rally, and that the words that I said were the exact words that the Lord wanted her to hear. And she was returning back to church that week. So I think for me, that was a huge and powerful moment. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a big deal, man, for us to stand, and for us to show that we can come together. That's a big deal.
It has to happen.
It has to happen.
You gotta keep pushing. These two young girls do this rally, and it was powerful. It was great. And so at the end, PA was ready to go. It was like, hey, let's I'm about to be out. Like, let's go. I said, all right, man, I'm gonna walk you to your car.
Have you, man? I mean, when were you sitting out? You were just sitting at home like, I'm gonna go out tomorrow.
That's what I said. I was like, you know what? I'm going to a protest. That's what I said. I'm going to a protest. I'm going to protest.
And so when I said I'm walking to your car, there's a couple other guys who were like, no, man, we're all gonna walk you to your car. So PA's like, let's go, let's roll. So we're out of there. We take off down the street to go walk him to his car. And when we turn around, everybody's following us.
When I say Black Lives, you say matter. Black Lives matter. Black Lives matter. Black Lives matter. Black Lives matter. Say his name. George Floyd. Say his name. George Floyd. Say my body. Say his name. Say my body.
I'm just encouraged. I came today to just stand and protest, and I'm leaving very, very encouraged, more faith than ever, not just in where the country's going, but the power that this next generation has. More than ever, so encouraged by all of the different races that are represented here
It just shows the power of Durham. It shows the power of faith. And we have a ways to go, but we will get there. I believe we will.
Since I moved to North Carolina, I've been much more serious as I got older. I don't know if I was that serious about voting when I was younger. But I think this was an important moment. I don't think you can be upset and not vote. I don't think you can march and not vote. I don't think you can be angry and not vote. The two go hand in hand, and I think that it's the most important thing.
This has been the most important election of anyone's life that's still living, I believe.
With a little over 2 weeks to go until Election Day, we know that 17 million people have already cast their ballots, breaking records for early voting. In North Carolina, early voting started today.
Table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I got elected.
Think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu.
Absolutely, you have to vote. The need to vote that's not even a question in my house, in my life. You know, I was taught that growing up, taught that in school, that it's your right to vote, it's your privilege to vote.
Voting opens at 8, but listen, you gotta have your voice. Your voice has to be heard. Make sure you go vote. Peace. All right, people, do you see that? Can you even see that? It says right there, I voted. The pen says, I voted.
A record number of Americans have already voted, more than 50 million ballots already cast. So what's the path to victory for both of these candidates?
I think we're going to win everything. I think tomorrow's going to be one of the greatest wins in the history of politics.
I go by what's on the news. I don't go by like this right here. I don't go by this 224 because on the news it's 205.
The swing voters said they are favoring Donald Trump.
Trump is ahead of Biden by 543,000.
We knew that there was no answer coming on election night. We already knew that. And my heart goes out for people who get such anxiety at times like this from stress and worry about what's about to happen.
I'm like waking up in the middle of the night, like, bro, like trying to check the updates. I'm like, they still counting?
If Joe Biden is able to flip Wisconsin, if he's able to flip Michigan, you see the numbers start to change, and then if he is able to flip Pennsylvania, those three alone would put Biden over 270.
I went from just antsy the next day, thinking we were gonna have a president, to kind of like, come on, the next day after that on Thursday.
The president does not win Pennsylvania. He's done. It's an absolute essential state for him.
Oh God, you know, you're just nervous, excited, then you're kind of scared, and you're just wanting it to be over.
North Carolina, big victory with North Carolina. And so we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped.
Joe Biden has been elected the 46th president of the United States.
We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
New president? What?
I cannot believe that I am watching history. Joe Biden is the president-elect, and Kamala Harris is our vice president-elect, and I'm telling you, I am moved. This is incredible. My heart is racing.
Me and my wife, we was in the house dancing, saying, Jesus, thank you, thank you.
And what presidents say in this battle matters. It's time
for our better angels to prevail. Tonight, the whole world is watching America. We will lead not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
And the president-elect is right. It's time to heal. And that healing comes as a result of love. Understand that God has called us to the kingdom for just such a time as this.
Projects of Hope is my nonprofit, and it is an NGO that I started I didn't trip into it, but I was asked back in 2012 to go on a missions trip to Kenya. And I went, and I had never been on a missions trip before. I was approached because, okay, I'm the first lady of the largest Black church in the area, and it was a mission trip to, African girls in Kenya. And I was like, sure. I went, I fell in love with it, and I was like, I absolutely have to do this again.
I was asked to go to Kenya on a missions trip, but once we got there, and our first year we built the library, and we also built some benches. Before that, they asked me to be on the board of directors for Projects of Hope, and I've been involved since.
Recently, within the last 3 years, we've started a medical portion of Projects of Hope. So we've been doing a medical mission and bringing medicines and serving the community in Africa that way. You want to go and you want to build all houses, you want to build a better school, you want to bring America there, but that's not what they want. They just want a hand up, they don't want a hand out. And I think that's why we've been so successful in the area that we go. And that's why when I go, because they know I'm coming, they know I don't want anything, I just go to give.
More than 50,000 pounds of food lining these tables and cardboard boxes in Durham. First Lady of Overcomers Church, LaShawn Thompson's helping others during COVID-19 as part of the nonprofit Project of Hope.
You know, family's important to me now because growing up, I was kind of tossed from person to person.
Thompson says hunger is a feeling she's familiar with. It's what gives her the drive to make sure other families have enough food.
Ended up in a home with an aunt and then another aunt and then another aunt. And through that, there were many times where there was no food and food was scarce because of her kids and me and my brother.
These volunteers signed up to give to others in the blistering heat and in the pouring rain.
Get it, man, you got it!
Racing to get boxes of food inside the trunks of hundreds of cars.
What family are two?
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Because some rain won't get in the way of helping about 500 families in these cars get meals they'll need until the next week.
One car, 2 families. This is so good.
In Durham, Caitlin Connolly, Spectrum News 1.
The biggest thing I want people to understand is that when you serve in Projects of Hope, whether you are delivering meals or donating funds or bringing food to our pantry, you are absolutely helping people to survive this thing. Every week during coronavirus, during this pandemic, we have served the community of Durham, giving out at least 150 boxes or bags of groceries every week. And we cannot do that without your help. And I want you to know, no matter what it looks like, people are actually desperate out there. There's a food disparity like you would not believe. There are people probably in your community that look like they're fine, but at home there's no food in the refrigerator.
When I say that I was so, we were shocked as to how much stuff was on that truck. In one day, 20,000 pounds. They dropped it off to us Friday. We gave it out on Saturday. This Saturday is a continuation of what we had left over, plus some additional donations I picked up this week. So it's crazy. Like, you would think it would be hard to find donors, but people want to give. You know, you just got to find the right people.
So to be a part of this on a larger scale has been nothing shy of amazing. I mean, it has really blessed me to be a part of something so great, and to have the ability to go in and organize and get the food, find the food. It's been just great. I mean, I can't complain at all to see the kids smile, the families actually find their needs being met. It's been great.
I said, look at first over there loading up the truck.
All over last week. Her backpack zipper broke, so I'm gonna. We have like a blend of like backpacks that were left over, and we could give her one with, you know, put her things in. But I told her if she's out here tomorrow, somebody can bring it by, so I'll just give it to you. Okay, that's okay. And we just saw like people living under this bridge. I can't remember her last name, but her first name's Tammy, and her husband's actually out here somewhere. But that's how we got linked up with her.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, thank you.
Here you go, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because we like short on food.
Yeah, first.
For real.
At the Marriott?
He said the Marriott is where they got them all at.
Oh, okay.
And there's no food over there.
Okay, we'll go by there now.
Okay.
Yeah, I
One
appreciate
stop
that.
shopping.
Just mention my name, Jordan.
All right, thanks
Thanks,
man.
Jordan. Here, after we go to the thing, I'm gonna give the. So you want to have Matei do the meats as well?
Yeah.
And I'll just start knocking on the doors.
right?
Okay.
And then this guy, the single guy,
Cool.
maybe give him this too. You
That-
know what I mean?
the guys, okay.
And then this is the
That's his mom. I thought it was his abuela. And so this is mom. So
Hey,
this is all
Monte.
the food in there? Is in this one box, guys?
that's them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They do?
But they're not coming to the door either, so.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the meat back and we're gonna leave the box up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have it say, you know, you give them the meat and then somebody bring a box.
Thank you. Bless you.
We have a few families out in the community. We go out to the Long Meadow area and the Liberty Street area. And the funny thing about the families is that we will get connected to one of the children. Jason's family is a Hispanic family that we've been serving since April of last year of 2019. And we've been able to pray with them and see his mom, her pain go away. And it's just been amazing. She looks for us. The community is looking for us.
¿Tiene más? Está bien. Dile que pase por acá. Ah, ok. Su nombre bien. Inicia la calle acá y atrás una firma.
To be able to speak multiple languages, right? So I speak Spanish and English, of course. And to be able to, you know, go to the doors and speak to the families. So when they see us coming, but to see a church of predominantly black but mixed people, and then being able to communicate, it's a whole nother story.
I taught myself Spanish. And I would always ask questions. I would go and I'd talk to people and, you know, I'm like, how do you say apple? How do you say banana? You know, this was in the very beginning stages of my learning Spanish. But now to see the ability to go in and just talk to the mom or talk to the dad or talk to the kid, and to be able to help them, you know, it really does my heart so much good. I love speaking Spanish. I love helping. I love being available to those who have a language barrier.
What most people don't know is that my biological mother had a very serious addiction to alcohol and drugs. So serving with Projects of Hope makes me feel like, wow, it also brings up so many memories of seeing her as a child and when I would get to visit her and just the way she struggled. And I didn't realize how much of that was still inside me. And serving with Projects of Hope made me feel like, man, okay, I couldn't do it for my biological mother because I was a child. And then when I become adult, she was very, very sick at that point and she had chosen her path. But here it is, I could give to other people. Of course, she's deceased, she's gone now, but now I can kind of pay it forward. That hurt kid was kind of touched as I was serving, but it didn't touch me in a negative way. It touched me in a way to say, dude, you gotta serve some more, you gotta do this again, so.
The impact that we have on the community, the people that we go see. It's like we go there all the time, they know us, they trust us, they believe in us, they look forward to seeing us. But you can tell that what we're doing is helping them.
And I'm really proud to say that now we have a local initiative, adopted a school in Durham, and this is our second year, and during COVID, we're really not trying to let it die. So as a matter of fact, in a couple of days, we're going to be bringing every family in this elementary school Thanksgiving dinner. And the kids will enjoy Christmas, and you know, we're gonna tutor them still. So Projects of Hope is there to serve children and make their world a little bit better so they can become great adults.
Well, a Durham church got in the Thanksgiving spirit by doing this, handing out meals and groceries. They really got involved today. Around 500 families are receiving Thanksgiving meals from World Overcomers Christian Church. Today, the church held a drive-through food pantry, handing out turkeys and other holiday groceries. A group of volunteers also made contact-free deliveries for families who couldn't make it to the drive-through.
We
We as a congregation are so excited. We must have about 30 volunteers here today, and they're on pins and needles just wanting to give these families food. We were just trying to figure out what do we do with the people that haven't signed up for a turkey, and I'm saying whoever comes, we're going to just give, because we just want to make sure that as many people as possible have Thanksgiving dinner. So we're so excited.
Oh, they're making such a difference. The church has plans to distribute more food through Monday.
That's one of the things I really want people in the Raleigh-Durham area to open their eyes to, the amount of food disparity that's out there, and then also the fact that the smallest thing can help. We are simply there to show God's love and to give them something tangible that says that we support them.
What do you miss most about the church?
People. People.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to World Overcomers Christian Church. On behalf of our senior pastor, Pastor Andy Thompson, we'd like to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Father.
No music with no culture. Lift up a sound in this room.
Look, I'm standing here speaking a sermon, the room's empty.
They're going to want to go to church. They're going to want to be in the room. I have absolute confidence that I don't know how we're going to seat everybody. I have absolute confidence in that. But even if I didn't, I sure do hope everybody misses World Overcomers and being in the room. But if nothing else, how do I preach on that stage with it empty? I love what I do. I love the Lord. I love His Word. And now abides these three: faith, hope, and love. For anybody that's like COVID has knocked your faith all the way out, well, you better have that hope as an anchor to your soul.
I want you to be able to come to church, but then I want you to be able to leave and go and sit in a big, huge lobby area where there's tables and have some coffee and talk and chit chat and just chill and relax.
Because I miss that lobby experience. I miss the lobby life. The fellowship thing, that's what I miss most about the church. Because knowing me, like, I used to be bouncing around the church all, but that's how I got this job. From meeting people in the lobby. I met Jarrell in the lobby. And then I started serving from there. And so if anybody can tell you how important, you know, fellowshipping and meeting people in that lobby, how important it is, I could be the first one to tell you, because I would not be right here in front of this camera telling you.
all that type of stuff. So I appreciate you meeting your service, man. And I just want to say, I love you as a brother. And thank you for, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I ain't never told him that, but yeah. Thank y'all so much and appreciate you, bro.
But to actually physically be in the building, it just gives it a whole nother feel.
Takes it to another level.
Another level. You see someone that, hey, you just never know. That might be the person that day you need to speak to.
Yeah.
And that changes your life. I had somebody one time tell me, she came in on a Sunday. I was having a conversation the Wednesday before that. She was just in the conversation. I didn't know who she was. I just seen her at church all the time. I waved. And that Sunday she comes in and thanks me and says, thank you so much for what you said in the lobby on Wednesday night. And I said, what are you talking about? I can't remember what I was talking about. She was like, and she kind of gave me a little bit of background about what I was talking about. And I said, oh, yeah. She said, I know you was talking about me. I said, talking about you? I don't know you. I'm talking about you. And she was like, you spoke directly to me. She said, what you don't know is that night, I already had set the whole stage to commit suicide with my kids. She said she was gonna go home, get in the car, take her kids, and drive her car to the coast and drive it into the water. She said she was done with life. And after hearing you speak in the lobby to some of the people that were out there, you were speaking part of your testimony, giving a little story. She said, I went home and I rethought it because of what you said. But I'm gonna tell you something. That's what I like about being in the building.
Yeah.
You just never know, man. Somebody is looking for us. Somebody is needing somebody. Somebody just wants to be in the building to get that refill.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, and she still goes to the church to this day.
Everybody in here, you really ought to be trying to know something well enough to teach it, because you don't really have a truth until you share it with somebody else. You don't really have a testimony if you don't share it with somebody else. The hardest thing right now is when I bump into somebody that I haven't seen in a long time. I was in the mall the other day and I bumped into a pastor that I haven't seen in years, and we couldn't even greet each other. We just had to be like, hey, and so that the people that were in the room were a part of what made the service the service. We were heading in a direction in which we were becoming so individualistic that we kind of weren't needing each other anymore. And I was concerned about that for humankind, because we are a communal species.
It started to become a little bit more about caring about people less and worrying about just our own personal wealth more. And I think it was necessary for us to be reminded that, just like that, everything that we're working for can be taken away. And so it makes you stop and ask yourself, am I working in the right areas? Am I working for the right stuff? Because if just like that, I can lose my money. Just like that, my mother's gone. Just like that, the company closed. Just like that, it makes me realize that this was necessary, and it proved that our hearts needed to be reworked, realigned to His will and His purpose. And for that, I'm grateful.
I operate under this theology that I'm the gas, God's the brake. I'm the gas, God's the brake. I'm trying to do stuff and the Lord wants to stop me, He stops me. The only one who can stop me is God. I do not believe the devil can stop me. I do not believe I can stop me. I can stop me, but I do not believe people can stop me, and I do not believe the devil can stop me. The only one who can stop me is God and me.
2020, I saw a video of a lady trying to go down an escalator that was going up, and she fell and rolled down every step until she hit the bottom, but the escalator kept going up. So sometimes I feel like 2020 is that escalator that keeps moving, even though you're rolling and hitting every metal step until you hit the bottom. I thank God for 2020, but I'm so ready for 2021.
God has been good to us. He really, really has been good to us. Better than this whole world could ever be. We have got to embrace fully the new reality that is church and kingdom. And I'm really, as tough as the years this has been, and I think, you know, everyone has worked hard, but I believe that the sky's the limit for us. And, you know, World Overcomers has a role to play.
Yeah.
I certainly can talk about the theme if everybody can keep it under their hats, you know. Yeah, I mean, I have the theme for next year. You want me to say what it is right now?
It's really up to you, babe.
Faith in God is trust in God, and trust in God happens if you have a relationship with Him. Hard to have trust in somebody you don't have a relationship with. I'm never going to reach perfection. There's always going to be something greater. I have to be careful being too prideful in what I already know. If anything has knocked us down, if anything should have been able to knock us off of our high horse when it comes to pride, it's COVID-19 and 2020 and what we thought we knew and what we said was going to happen. And I come to the understanding that the next perspective always says, I got more to go. I'm not done yet. But the things that are unseen, because the things that are seen are temporary, but the unseen things are eternal. If 2020 was the worst year of your life, that's all right, baby. Let's forget what is behind and strain toward what is ahead. What's next? What's next is greater than anything you could have ever imagined. What's next is so powerful that the difficulty that we've been through, these light and momentary troubles, are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on the things that are seen, but the things that are unseen. Because the things that are seen are temporary, but the unseen things are eternal.
When we go back to church, I want to stand at the door like old school church and hug every single person that walks in.
When we reopen the church is a new appreciation for people, a new appreciation and value for the people who actually walk through those doors.
Thirsty to get back to church, to tell their stories, to thank God. They're gonna be desperate to get into church just to thank God.
Why, when we come back, oh man, when the church comes back to the building, because we are the church, but when we return to the building or the facility, I'm looking forward to see dunamis in every experience, explosive power in every experience, because we have made it back safely to the house of the Lord.
I can't wait to have in-house church again, sit down in a sanctuary with people and attend church. I can't wait for that.
And the fact that it feels like it was so long ago, which is crazy. It's like an old memory, an old dream that you always wish you can kind of go back to.
We are going to possess the land, how we can't expect it to be given. We got to go get it. It's there. I believe that this year is a prime example of what next year is going to be. We're going to walk into things that nobody would have ever expected us to be walking into. Homes, land. You know, I just see an explosion of, abundance. I just see an explosion of abundance for us financially, for us spiritually. I just see us going to a higher level.
I think that the church that survives COVID is going to be a church that gets it. And World Overcomers is definitely going to be one of those churches.
Because I'm planning on having one of the best churches in the world. Can we do it? Of course we can do it. We get ready to cross our Jordan. It's time to believe.
We are down to the last 40 seconds of 2020. I know there's a whole lot of us that are ready to say goodbye to it. I never thought I'd survive it. I never thought I'd make it, and we are getting ready to praise God. This thing that we thought was the worst thing, but this tragic, disastrous plague, this pandemic, in my estimation, could turn into the very thing or catalyst that launches us to the greatest moment of church that we've ever seen. I think that we're going to be bigger than we've ever been. We already are bigger than we've ever been. When that day happens, when I was younger, they used to sing a song in the church that said, when we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. There are people who are watching us every week and they are thinking, man, when I get back into that sanctuary, man, when I can go back to church, I am never gonna miss. I'm going every Sunday. I am going to be there. I'm going to be faithful. It's going to be a powerful moment. I can't wait. It's going to be great.